The Mercedes S-Class tumbled through the guardrail at 11:47 p.m. on a Tuesday night in March. Metal screamed against concrete. Glass exploded into 1,000 glittering fragments. The luxury sedan, midnight blue with custom leather interior worth more than most people earned in a year, flipped once, twice, three times before slamming upside down onto the embankment below the West Side Highway. 30 seconds. That's how long Marcus Williams had before the fuel tank ignited. 30 seconds before $400,000 of German engineering became a fireball that would light up the Manhattan skyline. He didn't think about it. Thinking was for people who had time. Marcus yanked his rusted Ford pickup to the shoulder. The engine coughed once before dying. He was already moving, work boots pounding against asphalt, coveralls stained with motor oil and transmission fluid catching the amber glow of streetlights overhead. His hands, scarred from years of burns and cuts and electrical shocks, moved with a precision that seemed wrong for a mechanic coming off a double shift. 22 seconds. The smell hit him first. Gasoline, hot metal, something chemical and wrong. Smoke curled from beneath the crumpled hood, black and toxic. The driver's side door was crushed inward, folded like paper. The passenger side faced the embankment. Marcus dropped to his knees on broken glass. Through the spider-webbed window he could see her. A woman, Asian features, early 30s, designer suit now torn and bloodied. Her head tilted at an angle that made his stomach clench. Blood trickled from a wire above her left temple, dark and steady. 15 seconds. He grabbed a tire iron from the wreckage. 3 strikes and the window shattered. His hands shot through, found the door lock, pulled. The door groaned but held. Marcus braced his boot against the frame and pulled again. Metal shrieked. The door gave way. 10 seconds. The woman was unconscious. Marcus's fingers went to her neck, found her carotid artery. Pulse present, but weak, thready. His other hand tilted her head back slightly, checking her airway. Clear. His eyes tracked over her body with the systematic precision of someone who had done this 1,000 times in worse conditions. Skull fracture? Probable. Internal bleeding likely. Blood pressure dropping. 7 seconds. He could smell the gasoline pooling now, could hear the tick, tick, tick of superheated metal expanding. Every instinct screamed at him to run, save himself. This wasn't his problem. He had a daughter waiting at home. He had survived 8 years in combat zones to die in a ditch off the West Side Highway. But his hands were already moving. Unbuckling her seatbelt, stabilizing her neck with one arm, using his body as a brace against the roof of the car. He had done this exact maneuver in the back of a Humvee in Kandahar, with mortars falling around him. Muscle memory took over where conscious thought mailed. 3 seconds. Marcus pulled her free. She was lighter than he expected. Fragile. He cradled her against his chest, one hand supporting her head, and ran. His legs burned, his lungs screamed for air. 30 feet. That's all he needed. 30 feet between them and the car. 25 feet. 20. 15. The explosion came at 12 feet. Heat slammed into his back like a physical wall. Marcus threw himself forward, twisting his body to take the impact, curling around the woman to shield her from the blast. They hit the ground hard. His shoulder took most of it. Pain shot through his collarbone, but he kept his grip, kept her head protected. Flames roared behind them. Black smoke churned into the night sky. Car alarms shrieked up and down the highway. Marcus lay there for 3 seconds. 4, 5, just breathing, just being alive. Then training kicked back in. He rolled carefully, laying the woman flat on the grass. His fingers found her pulse again. Still there, still weak. He checked her pupils. One dilated, one normal. Skull fracture confirmed. He pressed his palm against the wound on her head, using his own jacket sleeve to stanch the bleeding. His other hand went to her abdomen, checking for rigidity. Soft. Good sign. Sirens wailed in the distance, growing louder. The woman's eyes fluttered open. Just for a moment. Just long enough for her to look directly at him. Brown eyes, confused, scared, trying to focus. Her lips moved, a whisper so soft Marcus had to lean in to hear it. You saved me. Who are you? Marcus looked at her. This stranger he had just pulled from a burning car. This woman whose life now continued because he had been driving this exact stretch of road at this exact moment. 30 seconds earlier, and he would have missed it. 30 seconds later, and she would be ash. Just someone who was here. You're going to be okay. The paramedics arrived in a wash of red and white lights. Two of them, a woman in her 40s and a younger man, both moving with practiced efficiency. They had a stretcher, a trauma bag, oxygen. The woman paramedic, her name tag read Martinez, took one look at how Marcus had positioned the patient and her eyebrows raised. You medical? Marcus stood, backing away. I know some first aid. Martinez knelt beside the woman, her hands already checking vitals, assessing injuries. This is surgical level work. The way you stabilized her neck, controlled the bleeding, positioned her for optimal breathing. Where did you learn this? YouTube, Marcus lied. The male paramedic was attaching a cervical collar, starting an IV. He glanced up at Marcus. Did you get her name? We need information for the hospital. Marcus shook his head. She was unconscious when I pulled her out. What's your name? We'll need you for the report. But Marcus was already walking backward, melting into the shadows beyond the flashing lights. His hands were shaking now, adrenaline crash. He had seen it 100 times in other people, felt it in himself just as many. His shoulder throbbed where he had hit the ground. His palms were cut from the broken glass. None of it mattered. Sir, wait. We need your statement. Marcus kept walking. By the time Martinez looked up again, he was gone. In the ambulance, as they loaded the stretcher, the woman's eyes opened again. Just for a moment. She tried to sit up. The man, where is he? I need to thank him. Martinez gently pushed her back down. Rest, ma'am. We'll find him. Right now, we need to get you to Mount Sinai. You have a serious head injury. But I don't even know his name. Someone got it on video. Half of New York has a phone out. We'll track him down. The ambulance pulled away, sirens screaming. Behind them, the Mercedes burned down to its frame. Fire trucks sprayed it with foam, turned the inferno into smoldering wreckage. Police cordoned off the area. An officer found Marcus's truck still running on the shoulder. Driver's door open, keys in the ignition. They ran the plates, found an address in the Bronx. But by then, Marcus Williams was already on the subway heading home. His daughter had school in the morning. He had work at 7 a.m. This was just another night, just another person who needed help. He looked down at his hands, at the scars there, some from auto repair, some older, much older, from a life he didn't talk about anymore, from a version of himself he had buried 3 years ago when Sarah died and left him alone with a newborn and a mountain of debt he would never climb. The subway rattled through the tunnel. Marcus closed his eyes. He didn't know that the woman he had saved was Elena Hartford, CEO of a $4.2 billion pharmaceutical empire. He didn't know her father had been murdered 6 weeks ago, made to look like an accident, by the man she trusted most. He didn't know that saving her life tonight had just made him the biggest threat to a conspiracy that had already killed once and would kill again. All Marcus knew was that when he got home, his daughter Kiara would be asleep. Mrs. Chen from 4C would be on his couch watching Korean dramas, waiting to be paid her $15 for babysitting. The hospital bills on his refrigerator would still total $180,000. Tomorrow he would wake up at 5:30 and do it all again. Save one life. Go home. Survive another day. That's all he could do. That's all he had left. The alarm clock screamed at 5:15 a.m. and Marcus Williams wanted to throw it through the window. He didn't. Instead, he reached over and silenced it with the practiced motion of a man who had been waking before dawn for most of his adult life. The apartment was dark, cold. The radiator hadn't worked properly in 2 years, and the landlord kept promising to fix it next month, always next month. Marcus sat up, his back complained. 35 years old and he felt 50. That's what happened when you spent 10 hours a day on concrete floors, bent over engine blocks, breathing in chemicals that probably took years off your life. The army had been hard on his body. This was harder. He padded barefoot to the bathroom, splashed cold water on his face, looked at himself in the mirror. Dark skin, close-cropped hair starting to show gray at the temples, eyes that had seen too much, a scar on his left shoulder from shrapnel, another on his right forearm from a burn. He didn't look at them long. In the kitchen, Marcus moved through the morning routine on autopilot. Coffee first. The cheap kind that came in a can, not the fancy stuff in bags. 2 eggs in the pan, bread in the toaster. He cooked automatically while his mind was elsewhere, cataloging the day ahead. Mrs. Rodriguez's Civic needed brake pads. Mr. Thompson's truck had a transmission leak. The shop owner, Jerry, wanted him to look at a Lexus that kept stalling. Footsteps pattered down the hallway, small feet, quick. Kiara appeared in the kitchen doorway wearing her favorite pajamas, the purple ones with stars. 7 years old, all eyes and questions and energy even before the sun came up. She had her mother's smile. That's what killed Marcus every morning. That smile. Morning, Daddy. Morning, baby girl. You're up early. I heard you cooking. Can I have eggs too? Marcus cracked 2 more eggs into the pan. Of course, go brush your teeth first. While she was gone, he plated the food. 2 pieces of toast, eggs scrambled just how she liked them, a glass of orange juice that was more water than juice, but she didn't complain. Never complained. That killed him too. How easy it would be to give her a better life if he just had different choices, different circumstances, a different past. Kiara returned, climbed onto her chair. Marcus sat across from her with his own plate. They ate in comfortable silence for a minute before she spoke. Daddy, can I ask you something? Always. Why don't you work at a hospital anymore? Marcus's fork stopped halfway to his mouth. He set it down carefully. This wasn't the first time she'd asked. Wouldn't be the last. She was getting old enough to understand that the medical textbooks on the shelf weren't just decoration, that the framed diploma from University of Texas Medical School in the back of his closet meant something. I told you, baby, I changed careers, decided I liked working with cars better. But Grandma Chen says you used to save people's lives. Mrs. Chen talks too much. She says Mommy would want you to be a doctor again. Marcus closed his eyes, breathed in through his nose, out through his mouth. Your mommy isn't here to want anything, and we're doing fine. I have a good job. You have everything you need. I know, Kiara poked at her eggs. I just think you'd be happier, being a doctor, helping people. I'm happy when I'm with you. That's all that matters. She smiled then, that smile that was pure Sarah, pure light in a dark world. Okay, Daddy. After breakfast, Marcus braided Kiara's hair. 8 perfect cornrows that took him 20 minutes, but he'd gotten good at it. Had to. Mrs. Chen offered to help, but this was his job, his daughter, his responsibility. He wasn't going to farm it out just because it was hard. They walked to PS 118 together at 7:30. Kiara's backpack was too big for her small frame, but she refused to let him carry it. Independent, stubborn, just like her mother. Just like him. At the school gates, Kiara turned and hugged him around the waist. Love you, Daddy. Love you more, baby girl. Have a good day. Learn something. Always do. She ran off to join her friends. Marcus watched until she disappeared inside the building. Every morning he did this. Watched until she was safe. Until she was somewhere he wasn't. The world felt dangerous in a way it hadn't before Sarah died. Like anything could happen at any moment. Like the people you loved could just vanish and leave you holding pieces. He walked to the subway, rode it to Brooklyn, arrived at Brooklyn Auto Repair at 7:55. 5 minutes early. Always 5 minutes early. Jerry appreciated that even if he never said so out loud. The shop was a converted warehouse that smelled like oil and rubber and old coffee. 6 bays, lifts that groaned when you used them, tools that were older than Marcus. But it was work, honest work, $32,000 a year, enough to keep the lights on. Not enough for much else. Marcus changed into his coveralls. The name patch on the chest said Williams. No first name, just Williams. Like he was interchangeable with any other mechanic. Maybe he was. Jerry waddled out of the office. 60 years old, 300 pounds, perpetually red-faced. But he paid on time and didn't ask questions. That counted for something. Williams, got a brake job in Bay 3, Civic. Customer says it's pulling left. On it. Marcus spent the next 4 hours on his back under Mrs. Rodriguez's Civic. The brake pads were shot. One of the calipers was seized. He worked methodically, his hands moving through the repair with the same precision he had once used to suture arteries and remove shrapnel. Different skills, same attention to detail. His mind wandered while he worked. It always did. Thought about Kiara. Thought about the bills stacked on his kitchen counter. Thought about the life he used to have. Dr. Marcus Williams, combat medic, 8 years in the Army, 2 tours in Afghanistan, 47 soldiers who went home because he kept them alive when they should have died. Then Sarah, pregnant, due date 6 weeks away. Marcus working a shift at the civilian hospital, trying to make extra money. She went into labor early. Complications. By the time he got there, she was gone. Kiara survived. Sarah didn't. He quit the next day, turned in his medical license. Couldn't face another patient. Couldn't live with the fact that he saved strangers, but couldn't save his own wife. The tools in his hands were easier. Cars didn't die when you made a mistake. They just didn't start. Williams, take your lunch. Marcus rolled out from under the Civic, checked his watch, 12:30. He washed his hands in the industrial sink, scrubbing the grease from under his fingernails. Never came all the way out anymore. Just stayed there. Permanent. He ate his sandwich on the curb outside the shop. Peanut butter and jelly, same as yesterday, same as tomorrow. He watched the traffic go by on Atlantic Avenue. All those people going somewhere, having lives, having purpose. His phone buzzed. Text message from Mrs. Chen. Kiara has science project due Friday. Needs poster board and markers. Marcus did the math in his head. Poster board, $3. Markers, $10. He had $68 until payday on Friday. Rent was already late. The electric company had sent a disconnect notice. He texted back, I'll get it tonight. Spent the afternoon on Mr. Thompson's truck. Transmission leak, not major but annoying. The kind of repair that took time and patience. Marcus had both. Jerry walked by around 3, stopped, watched Marcus work. You know, Williams, you're too good for this place. Marcus didn't look up. It's a job. It's beneath you. I've seen you diagnose problems in 5 minutes that take other guys all day. You move like someone with real training. Medical training. Marcus's hands stilled. I fix cars, Jerry. That's all. Sure, and I'm the Pope. Jerry walked away, shaking his head. At 5:30, Marcus clocked out. Stopped at the dollar store on the way to the subway. Bought the poster board and markers Kiara needed. $13. Left him with $55 until Friday. The subway was packed. Rush hour, bodies pressed together. Marcus found a spot by the door and held onto the rail. Thought about nothing, felt nothing, just existed in the space between work and home. He emerged from the subway at 6:40, walked 3 blocks to his building on Grand Concourse. The elevator was broken. Again. Had been for 2 months. Marcus climbed 5 flights of stairs. His legs burned, but he kept moving. At apartment 4B, he could hear voices inside. Kiara laughing. Mrs. Chen's accented English responding. Marcus unlocked the door. Daddy! Kiara launched herself at him. Marcus caught her, lifted her up despite the ache in his shoulders. 7 years old, but she'd be too big for this soon. He savored it while he could. Hey, baby girl, how was school? Good. We learned about the heart today in science. Did you know the heart pumps blood through 60,000 miles of blood vessels? I did know that. Of course you did. You're smart. She wriggled down. I got an A on my math test. That's my girl. Mrs. Chen stood gathering her knitting. She was 72, had lived in the building for 40 years, and babysat Kiara 3 days a week. Marcus paid her $15 each time. She never complained it wasn't enough. She ate already, chicken nuggets and carrots, did her homework. Thank you, Mrs. Chen. The old woman paused at the door, looked at Marcus with eyes that saw too much. You should smile more, Marcus. Life is hard, but you're still living it. Your daughter needs to see that. After she left, Marcus heated up leftovers for himself. Mac and cheese from a box. Kiara sat at the table with him, working on her science project. The poster board spread out, markers everywhere. I'm doing the circulatory system, she announced, because of what we learned today. Sounds good. Daddy, can you help me draw a heart? A real one, not like the Valentine kind. Marcus picked up a red marker, drew the 4 chambers of the human heart from memory, the atria, the ventricles, the major vessels. His hand moved automatically, muscle memory from 1,000 anatomy lessons. Kiara watched, fascinated. How do you know how to do that? Learned it a long time ago. When you were a doctor? Marcus set down the marker. Yeah, when I was a doctor. You miss it? The question hung in the air. Honest, direct. The way only a child could ask. Did he miss it? Yes, every single day. Missed the purpose, the feeling that what he did mattered, that he was using his skills for something more than replacing brake pads and changing oil. But missing it didn't change anything, didn't erase the debt, didn't bring Sarah back, didn't give him the courage to face a patient again. Sometimes, he said, but I have you, and that's better than any job. Kiara smiled, went back to coloring her poster. Marcus watched her, this small person who was his entire world, and felt the familiar weight settle on his chest. The weight of being responsible for someone else's happiness, someone else's future. On the refrigerator, held by a magnet shaped like an apple, was a stack of medical bills. Mount Sinai Hospital. Sarah Williams, deceased. $180,000 for the emergency C-section that saved Kiara and failed to save Sarah. Payment plans, collection notices, interest accumulating. Marcus looked away. Later, after Kiara was asleep, he sat on the couch in the dark. The apartment was quiet except for the distant sounds of the city. Car horns, sirens, someone's television too loud. Normal sounds, home sounds. His phone sat on the coffee table. He picked it up, opened his photos, scrolled back 3 years. There. Sarah, pregnant, glowing, laughing at something he had said, the last photo he had taken of her alive. I'm doing my best, he whispered to the image. I know it's not enough, but I'm doing my best. The phone went dark. Marcus sat in the silence. Tomorrow he would wake at 5:15, make breakfast, braid Kiara's hair, go to work, come home, repeat. That was the life now. No room for dreams or what-ifs, just surviving, just being the father his daughter needed. He didn't know that in 3 weeks he would pull a woman from a burning car. Didn't know that woman would be Elena Hartford, CEO of a company worth billions. Didn't know she would find him, offer him a chance to reclaim everything he had lost. All Marcus knew was that tomorrow would be the same as today, and the day after that, and the day after that, until something changed. But nothing ever changed. Elena Hartford woke up in Mount Sinai Hospital with 12 stitches in her forehead and no memory of the last 6 hours. The room was white. Room was lonesome, sterile. Machines beeped steadily beside her bed. Her head felt like someone had taken a sledgehammer to it. A doctor stood beside her bed. Female, late 40s, kind eyes behind frameless glasses. Her name tag read Dr. Patel, Neurology. Miss Hartford, welcome back. How are you feeling? Elena tried to sit up. The room spun. She lay back down. Like I got hit by a truck. Close. You flipped your car off the West Side Highway. Skull fracture. Concussion. 12 stitches. But you're alive. You're very, very lucky. Fragments of memory surfaced. Driving home from the office. Late meeting. Tired. The steering wheel suddenly loose. The car veering. The guardrail rushing toward her. Then nothing. Blank space where the crash should be. How did I get out? Dr. Patel smiled. That's the interesting part. A good Samaritan pulled you from the wreckage seconds before it exploded. Performed emergency medical care that, frankly, saved your life. The paramedics said his technique was exceptional. Military or medical training, they thought. Who was he? No one knows. He disappeared before anyone could get his name. Elena closed her eyes, tried to remember, came up with nothing except a vague impression of strong arms lifting her. A man's voice, calm, steady. You're going to be okay. I need to find him. Right now you need to rest. The skull fracture is serious. We're keeping you for observation. But Elena was already reaching for her phone on the bedside table. It was cracked but functional. She had 14 missed calls, all from the same number. Vincent Cross, her father's best friend, the company CFO, the man who had been handling everything since her father died 6 weeks ago. She didn't call him back. Instead, she called her assistant. Jessica picked up on the first ring. Elena, oh my God, I heard about the accident. Are you okay? I'm fine. I need you to do something for me. Anything. Find the man who pulled me out. Check traffic, cameras, news footage, social media. Someone must have seen something. I need a name. Consider it done, but Elena, maybe you should focus on recovering first. Vincent has been calling. He's worried. I'm sure he is. Tell him I'm fine and I'll call him when I'm ready. Okay, get some rest. Elena hung up, stared at the ceiling. Her mind was already working, cataloging, analyzing. The accident bothered her. The car had been driving fine all day. The steering had been responsive. Then suddenly, nothing. Like the system just failed. Cars didn't just fail like that. Not new Mercedes. Not with regular maintenance. Unless someone made them fail. Her father's face flashed through her mind. Richard Hartford, dead 6 weeks ago in a single car accident, drove off a cliff on the Pacific Coast Highway. Police ruled it accidental. Too fast around a curve. Tragic loss. But Richard Hartford had been driving that road for 20 years. Knew every turn, every dangerous spot. He was careful, meticulous. He didn't make mistakes. Elena had believed the police report because believing anything else was too painful. Easier to accept an accident than to face the possibility that someone had killed him. Now, lying in a hospital bed with a fractured skull, she wasn't so sure. 2 car accidents in 6 weeks, both targeting Hartfords, both nearly fatal. That wasn't coincidence. That was a pattern. 3 days later, Elena checked herself out of the hospital against medical advice. Dr. Patel protested, but Elena was done lying in bed. She had questions that needed answers. Her first stop was her father's office. It had been sealed since his death. Everything left exactly as it was. The board wanted to wait a respectful period before clearing it out. Elena had the only key. She unlocked the door at 7 a.m. when the building was still empty, stepped inside. The smell hit her first. Her father's cologne, old books, leather. She stood there for a moment, just breathing it in, remembering. Richard Hartford had built this company from nothing. A small pharmaceutical startup in the 90s that he grew into a $4.2 billion empire. He was brilliant, ethical, demanding. He taught Elena everything about business, about integrity, about doing the right thing even when it cost you. Now he was gone, and Elena was supposed to believe it was just bad luck. She moved to his desk, sat in his chair, started going through drawers. Most were empty or full of the usual office detritus, pens, notepads, business cards. But the bottom right drawer was locked. Elena searched for the key, found it taped under the desk. Paranoid old man habits. She smiled despite herself. The drawer opened. Inside was a single USB drive. No label, just a piece of tape with one word written in her father's handwriting. Insurance. Elena's hands shook as she picked it up. Insurance against what? Against who? She plugged it into the computer. Password protected. She tried her birthday. Wrong, her mother's name. Wrong, the date the company was founded. Wrong, think, Elena. What would he use? Then it hit her. Hippocrates. The oath. Her father had been a medical doctor before going into business. He quoted the Hippocratic Oath constantly. First, do no harm. She typed it. The drive unlocked. Files filled the screen. Dozens of them. Financial records, email chains, audio files. Elena opened the first folder. Her blood went cold. Shell companies, money transfers. $67 million moved through offshore accounts over the past 3 years, all traced back to Hartford Pharmaceuticals, all authorized by Vincent Cross. Elena opened another folder. Clinical trial data, CT-447, a new cardiac drug her father had been developing. The trial results showed it was unsafe. Heart palpitations, 2 deaths during testing. But the official reports submitted to the FDA showed it was perfectly safe. The data had been falsified. She kept digging, found email chains between Vincent and executives at Beijing Pharma, payments for rush approval, kickbacks, bribery. Her father had discovered all of this, had been building a case. Then he died. Elena's hands were shaking now. She opened the last file, an audio recording dated 1 week before her father's death. She hit play. Her father's voice filled the office, strong, angry. Vincent, I found the discrepancies. Clinical trial CT 447. You fabricated the results. Vincent's voice responded, smooth, calm. Richard, you're being paranoid. Those are legitimate results from our China facility. Don't lie to me. I have the real data. People died, Vincent. 2 people died because you rushed an unsafe drug to market. I'm going to the FDA. A pause. Then Vincent's voice, colder now. If you do that, you'll destroy the company. Everything we built. I can't let you do that, old friend. Then you'll have to stop me. Yes, I suppose I will. The recording ended. Elena sat frozen, her mind racing. Vincent killed him. Vincent murdered her father, and now Vincent was trying to kill her too. The office door opened behind her. Elena spun around. Vincent Cross stood in the doorway, 52 years old, salt and pepper hair, expensive suit, warm smile that didn't reach his eyes. Elena, I heard you checked out of the hospital. You should be resting. Elena closed the laptop. I'm fine. You don't look fine, you look pale, stressed. He walked closer. This is a difficult time. Losing your father, the accident. You need to take care of yourself. I am taking care of myself. Vincent's eyes flicked to the laptop. What are you working on? Just catching up on emails. In your father's office? That's morbid, don't you think? I find it comforting. Vincent nodded slowly. Of course, I understand. Your father and I were best friends for 20 years. I miss him every day. Liar, murderer. Elena forced a smile. Thank you, Vincent. That means a lot. The board has been asking about you. When you'll be ready to resume your duties as CEO, some members have concerns about your emotional state, given everything that's happened. I'm perfectly capable of doing my job. I'm sure you are, but perception matters. Perhaps it would be wise to take some time. Let me handle things until you're fully recovered. That won't be necessary. Vincent's smile tightened. Elena, I'm only trying to help. As your father's friend, as someone who cares about you. I appreciate that, but I don't need help. He stared at her for a long moment, then nodded. Of course, if you change your mind, I'm here. After he left, Elena sat very still. Her heart was pounding. He knew. Somehow he knew she was suspicious. The way he looked at the laptop, the careful questions. She was in danger. Elena pulled out her phone, called a number she had used once before when the company needed discreet security work. A private investigator named David Chen. He answered on the second ring. Miss Hartford, how can I help you? I need you to find someone, a man who pulled me from a car accident 3 nights ago. No one got his name, but there must be traffic, camera footage, witnesses, something. I'll see what I can find. There's something else. I need you to investigate my car accident and my father's. I don't think either one was an accident. A pause. That's a serious accusation. I have evidence. Can you help me or not? I'll need access to the vehicles, police reports. It won't be cheap. Money isn't an issue. I need answers. Give me 48 hours. Elena hung up, looked at the USB drive sitting on her father's desk. Evidence of murder, evidence of conspiracy, enough to destroy Vincent Cross and everyone involved. But evidence meant nothing without someone to help her use it. Someone she could trust. Someone with skills beyond corporate law and board meetings. She needed the man who pulled her from that car. The man with medical training. The man who disappeared into the night without asking for thanks or reward. She needed him, and she didn't even know his name. But she would find him, whatever it took. David Chen delivered the file 36 hours after Elena hired him. It was thick, thorough, the kind of investigative work that cost $15,000 and was worth every penny. Elena sat in her penthouse apartment overlooking Central Park and opened it. The first page was a DMV photo. A black man, mid-30s, looking directly at the camera with eyes that had seen too much. Strong jaw, close-cropped hair, the ghost of a smile like he had been thinking about something pleasant when they took the picture. Marcus Williams, age 35. Address, 847 Grand Concourse, apartment 4B, Bronx. Elena turned the page and started reading. Born in Brooklyn, mother died when he was 19. No father listed on birth certificate, enlisted in the Army at 20, became a combat medic, served 8 years, 2 tours in Afghanistan, honorable discharge with commendations, saved 47 soldiers' lives during active combat, received the Bronze Star after the military, University of Texas Medical School, graduated top of his class, MD degree, started residency in emergency medicine. Then everything stopped. Wife Sarah Williams died 3 years ago, childbirth complications, emergency C-section at Mount Sinai Hospital. Baby survived, mother didn't, medical bills totaling $180,000. Marcus Williams quit his residency the next day, let his medical license lapse, disappeared from the medical field entirely. Current employment, Brooklyn Auto Repair, mechanic, annual salary $32,000. Single father to daughter Kiara, age 7, attends PS 118, honor roll student, outstanding debts, the medical bills from his wife's death, collection notices, payment plans, interest accumulating faster than he could pay. Credit score, 580. No criminal record, no traffic violations. Model citizen who just got dealt a terrible hand and was doing his best to survive. Elena stared at the photo. This man had been a decorated combat medic, a doctor, someone who spent his life saving people. Now he fixed cars for poverty wages while drowning in debt from the wife he couldn't save. And 3 nights ago, he had pulled her from a burning car using skills he wasn't supposed to have anymore. Then vanished because he didn't want thanks, didn't want recognition, just did what needed doing and went home to his daughter. She closed the file, made a decision. The next evening, Elena's driver dropped her off on Grand Concourse in the Bronx at 6:30 p.m. The building was exactly what the file described. 5 stories, brown brick, fire escapes zigzagging down the front, paint peeling around windows. A group of teenagers sitting on the stoop with music playing from a phone stopped talking when she approached. Elena was wearing a simple blazer and slacks, the most casual outfit she owned. She still looked absurdly out of place. The lobby door was propped open with a brick. No doorman, no security, just a wall of dented mailboxes and a handwritten sign that said, "Elevator broken, sorry." Elena started climbing. Her head still ached from the skull fracture. By the 3rd floor, she was breathing hard. By the 5th, she had to stop and lean against the wall. Dr. Patel had been right about taking it easy. Apartment 4B was at the end of the hall. Elena could hear voices inside, a child's laughter, a man's deeper response. She stood there for a moment, listening, suddenly unsure. What was she doing here? This man had made it clear he didn't want anything from her. He had literally run away from the paramedics to avoid being thanked. But she needed him, needed his skills, needed someone she could trust in a world where her father's best friend had tried to kill her. Elena knocked. The laughter stopped. Footsteps approached. Light. Quick. The door opened to reveal a little girl with cornrows and enormous brown eyes. She wore a school uniform and held a science textbook. "Hi." The girl smiled. "Are you selling cookies?" Lena found herself smiling back. "No, sweetie. Is your dad home?" "Daddy!" The girl turned and yelled. "There's a pretty lady at the door." A man's voice from deeper in the apartment. Cautious. "Kiara, who is it?" Marcus Williams appeared behind his daughter. He was wearing jeans and a white t-shirt, barefoot. His hands had grease under the nails. The moment he saw Elena, his entire body went still. Recognition. Shock. Something else Elena couldn't quite read. "Miss Hartford." His voice was careful. "What are you doing here?" "I need to talk to you. Can I come in?" Marcus hesitated, looked at his daughter, back at Elena, then stepped aside. "Kiara, go finish your homework." "But I want to meet the pretty lady." "Homework, now." The girl sighed dramatically but obeyed, disappearing down a hallway. Marcus closed the door. Didn't invite Elena to sit. Just stood there, arms crossed, waiting. Elena looked around the apartment. It was small, maybe 600 square feet, but it was clean. A child's drawings covered the refrigerator. Textbooks lined a shelf, medical texts mixed with auto repair manuals. A framed photo on the side table showed Marcus and a beautiful woman in a simple wedding dress, both of them laughing. How did you find me? Marcus asked. Private investigator. I needed to thank you properly for saving my life. You didn't need to do that. I'm glad you're okay. But I don't need thanks. Elena pulled an envelope from her purse. This is $100,000. It's not nearly enough for what you did, but it's a start. Marcus didn't even look at the envelope. I can't accept that. Why not? Because I didn't help you for money. I helped you because someone needed help. That's all. I know that, but you have debt, medical bills from your wife. This could clear most of it, give you breathing room, let you focus on your daughter instead of working yourself to death. Marcus's jaw tightened. You investigated me, my finances, my past. I needed to know who saved my life. Well, now you know I'm nobody, just a mechanic trying to raise my kid. Whatever you think I can do for you, you're wrong. I can't help you. You were a combat medic, a doctor. You have skills that most people spend their entire lives trying to develop. You could be saving lives instead of changing oil. I don't do that anymore. Because your wife died and you blame yourself. The words hung in the air like a slap. Marcus's eyes went dark. You need to leave. But Elena didn't move. My father was murdered 6 weeks ago, made to look like a car accident. The same person who killed him tried to kill me 3 nights ago. I have evidence, but I don't know who I can trust. The police are paid off. The man behind it is powerful, connected. He's already coming after me again. She took a breath. I need help, real help, from someone who knows tactics, who can handle dangerous situations, who won't be bought. I looked at your service record, Marcus. You're exactly the person I need. I'm a mechanic. You're a decorated combat veteran with advanced medical training and the instincts to pull someone from a burning car when everyone else just watched. Don't tell me you're nobody. Marcus turned away, walked to the window, looked out at the Bronx sprawling below. When he spoke again, his voice was quieter. Even if I wanted to help, I have Kiara. I can't risk leaving her alone. Can't risk getting involved in something that might get me killed. She already lost her mother. I won't make her lose me too. Elena had prepared for this. $150,000 up front to clear your medical debt. $200,000 a year salary as a security consultant for Hartford Pharmaceuticals. Full benefits, health care for you and Kiara. 24/7 protection detail for your daughter while you are working. Completely secure. She paused. And I have connections on the medical licensing board. I can get your MD license reinstated. You could practice again. Be a doctor again. Marcus spun around. What? You let it lapse. That's different than losing it. With the right paperwork, the right recommendations, you could be Dr. Williams again. Save lives again. Use the skills you were meant to use. Why would you do all that? Because I need you. And because someone with your abilities shouldn't be wasting them under cars. My father used to say that talent is a responsibility. You have a responsibility to use yours. Marcus stared at her. Elena could see the war happening behind his eyes. Temptation fighting with fear. Hope battling with the trauma of his wife's death. I need to think about it. I understand, but I need an answer soon. The man who killed my father knows I'm suspicious. He's moving against me. I don't have much time. Elena walked to the door, turned back. I know what it's like to lose someone you love and feel powerless. But you weren't powerless 3 nights ago. You saved my life. Let me give you the chance to do that again. To be who you really are. She left the envelope on the small table by the door. Walked out before Marcus could argue. In the hallway, Kiara was peeking out from her room. Are you leaving? Yes, sweetie, but I hope I'll see you again soon. Me too. You're nice, though. And you made my daddy think about something. He doesn't think about new things very much. Elena smiled, walked down 5 flights of stairs, back to her car, back to Manhattan, back to her world. But she couldn't stop thinking about that small apartment, the medical textbooks gathering dust, the man who was so much more than what life had forced him to become. She hoped he would say yes. She needed him to say yes. 3 days later, Elena's phone buzzed at 11 p.m. Unknown number. The text was short. 3 words. I accept. Williams. Elena closed her eyes. let out a breath she didn't know she'd been holding. She had an ally now, someone who couldn't be bought, someone who understood what it meant to fight when the odds were impossible. She texted back, "Come to Hartford Pharmaceuticals tomorrow, 9 a.m. Ask for me at the front desk. Bring Kiara if you want. I'd like to meet her properly." The response came quickly. "See you then." Elena set down her phone, looked out at the Manhattan skyline glittering in the darkness. Vincent Cross was out there somewhere, planning, scheming, trying to figure out how to eliminate her without making it obvious. But now she had Marcus Williams, and Marcus Williams was a weapon Vincent didn't know existed yet. Marcus stood in the lobby of Hartford Pharmaceuticals Tower at 8:55 a.m. and tried not to look as out of place as he felt. 45 stories of glass and steel, marble floors, modern art on the walls that probably cost more than his annual salary. Men and women in expensive suits moving with purpose, shoes clicking on polished stone. He wore the only suit he owned, the one from Sarah's funeral. It was too loose now. He'd lost weight over the past 3 years from skipping meals and working double shifts. The sleeves were slightly short. The pants needed a belt he didn't have. Kiara stood beside him in her school uniform, her small hand gripping his. She stared at everything with wide eyes. "Daddy, this place is fancy." "Yeah, baby, real fancy." "Are you going to work here now?" "Looks like it." "Will you still have time for me?" Marcus knelt down to her level, looked her in the eyes. "Always, no job is more important than you. Remember that." She smiled, hugged him around the neck. The security desk was staffed by a white man in his 50s. "Robert," his name tag said. He looked up as Marcus approached, and something shifted in his expression. Not quite hostility, just wariness. "Can I help you?" "I'm here to see Elena Hartford. My name is Marcus Williams." Robert's eyebrows raised slightly. "You have an appointment?" "Yes, 9 a.m. ID, please." Marcus pulled out his driver's license. Robert took it, studied it longer than necessary. Looked at Marcus, back at the ID. "This says Bronx address. That's where I live." "And you have an appointment with Miss Hartford, the CEO?" "Yes." Robert picked up his phone, dialed. "Miss Hartford's office? I have a Marcus Williams here claiming he has a 9 a.m. with her." A pause. "Uh-huh, okay, thank you." He hung up, looked at Marcus with surprise. "You can go up, 45th floor. Someone will meet you at the elevator." Marcus took Kiara's hand. They walked to the elevator bank. Other employees watched them. Not obviously, just glances. A mechanic from the Bronx and his 7-year-old daughter didn't belong here. Everyone knew it. The elevator ride was silent except for the soft classical music. Kiara pressed her face against the glass wall, watching the lobby shrink below them. At the 45th floor, the doors opened to reveal a young Asian woman with perfect makeup and a professional smile. "Mr. Williams, I'm Jessica, Miss Hartford's assistant. Welcome to Hartford Pharmaceuticals." "Thank you. And you must be Kiara. Miss Hartford told me you might be coming. We have a kids area with books and games if you'd like. Or you can stay with your dad." Kiara looked up at Marcus. "Can I stay with you?" "Of course." Jessica led them through a maze of glass offices and modern furniture. Everything was clean, expensive, intimidating. She stopped at a corner office with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Manhattan. Elena Hartford stood inside, looking out at the city. She turned when they entered, smiled. "Marcus, Kiara, I'm so glad you're here." She had changed since that night on the highway. No longer the unconscious woman bleeding in a wrecked car. Now she was every inch the CEO. Tailored suit, hair perfect, commanding presence. But her eyes were kind when she looked at Kiara. "You must be the brilliant scientist I've heard about." Kiara blushed. "I just like science." "That's how all great scientists start, just liking it." Elena gestured to the conference table. "Please sit. Can I get you anything? Coffee? Juice for Kiara?" "We're fine, thank you." They sat. Elena across from Marcus, Kiara between them. For a moment, no one spoke. Then Elena pulled out a folder. "This is your contract, security consultant. $200,000 a year. Full benefits. Start date today if you're ready. We'll get you an office, equipment, access to everything you need." Marcus took the folder but didn't open it. What exactly do you need me to do? For now, review our security protocols. You'll have a team of 5 people. They handle day-to-day operations. You oversee everything, make sure we're protected. But mostly, she paused, mostly I need you to help me figure out who killed my father and how to stop them from killing me. Kiara's hand tightened on Marcus's arm. Someone wants to hurt you? Elena's expression softened. Some bad people, yes, but your dad is going to help make sure they can't. My dad is really good at helping people. He used to be a doctor. I know, that's why I asked him to work here. Marcus cleared his throat. About the medical license. You said you could help with it. Already in progress. I made some calls. You'll need to take a competency exam and complete some continuing education hours, but you should be reinstated within 6 months. Sooner if we push. 6 months. Marcus could be a doctor again in 6 months. Could use his real skills. Save lives instead of fixing brake pads. The thought made his chest tight. What about Kiara? You mentioned protection. 24/7 detail. 2 former Secret Service agents. One will be with her at school. One will escort her home. Your apartment building will have security installed. She'll be safer than she's ever been. I don't want her scared. Don't want her thinking she's in danger. The agents are trained to be invisible. She'll barely notice them. And Marcus, she's only in danger because you're helping me. I take that responsibility seriously. I will protect her with everything I have. Marcus looked at his daughter. Thought about what this meant. $200,000 a year. No more worrying about rent. No more choosing between groceries and school supplies. Healthcare. A real future, but also danger. Vincent Cross had killed once. Would kill again. Getting involved meant putting a target on his back. Daddy? Kiara's voice was small. Are you scared? A little bit, baby. It's okay to be scared. You taught me that. Brave people get scared too. They just do the right thing anyway. His own words, thrown back at him by his 7-year-old daughter. Marcus almost laughed. Yeah, you're right. He looked at Elena, extended his hand. Okay, I'm in. They shook. Her grip was firm, strong, the handshake of someone who meant business. Thank you, Marcus. You won't regret this. I hope not. The next 2 hours were a blur. Jessica took them on a tour of the building, showed Marcus his office on the 30th floor. Small, but clean. Window overlooking the city, computer, phone. His name already on the door plaque. The security team was waiting in the conference room. 5 people. Jake Torres, head of security, ex-NYPD, 40 years old with the build of someone who spent time in the gym. Michelle Park, IT security, late 20s, friendly smile. Derek Shaw, physical security, 50s, neutral expression. 2 others whose names Marcus immediately forgot. Jake sized him up immediately. So you're Elena's personal hire. What's your background? Army medic, some tactical training. Medic. Jake's tone made it clear what he thought of that. So you'll bandage paper cuts? Michelle shot Jake a look. Welcome to the team, Marcus. If you need anything, let me know. Thanks. The rest of the day was orientation, systems, protocols, access badges. Marcus absorbed it all while part of his brain stayed focused on the real job. Figure out who killed Richard Hartford. Keep Elena alive. Don't get yourself killed in the process. At 3 p.m., Marcus picked up Kiara from the kids' area where she'd been doing homework and playing with tablets that cost more than his monthly rent. Ready to go, baby? Can we come back tomorrow? Marcus laughed. Yeah, we'll be coming back a lot. Elena met them at the elevator. Marcus, before you go, dinner. This weekend, you, me, Kiara, nothing business. Just getting to know each other. If we're going to work together, we should actually know each other. Marcus hesitated. That felt personal, more than just a job. But Kiara was already nodding enthusiastically. Please, Daddy, Miss Elena is nice. Okay, sure. Dinner sounds good. Saturday, 6 p.m. I'll send you the address. On the subway home, Kiara fell asleep against Marcus's shoulder. He looked down at her, thought about how much had changed in 3 days. How one moment, one choice to stop and help a stranger had altered the entire trajectory of their lives. He thought about Sarah, wondered if she would approve, if she would want him taking this risk. Then he remembered her words, the ones she used to say when times were hard. Do the right thing, Marcus. Always do the right thing. Everything else will follow. He was doing the right thing. He hoped everything else would follow. Saturday evening, Marcus stood outside a restaurant in Queens and checked the address 3 times. This couldn't be right. It wasn't fancy. Wasn't Manhattan. Just a small Italian place with checkered tablecloths and candles and wine bottles. Elena was already inside, sitting in a corner booth. She waved when she saw them. She wasn't wearing a suit, just jeans and a sweater. Her hair down. She looked younger, more relaxed. You found it. This is where you wanted to meet? My parents used to come here for their anniversary, before my father got successful, before everything changed. I like remembering what it was like when things were simple. Yeah, Kiara slid into the booth next to Elena. It smells good. Best lasagna in Queens, trust me. They ordered. While they waited for food, Kiara pulled out her science project, the circulatory system poster Marcus had helped her with. Look what I made. Elena studied it carefully. This is incredible. The detail on the heart is amazing. Daddy drew it. He knows all about hearts because he used to be a doctor. Elena looked at Marcus. You drew this? Muscle memory. Haven't thought about cardiac anatomy in 3 years, but I guess some things stick. You miss it. It wasn't a question. Marcus didn't answer right away. Kiara was distracted by the breadsticks that arrived. He watched her butter one carefully, her small hands precise. Every day, he finally said, but missing something doesn't mean you can go back to it. Why not? Because I failed at the thing that mattered most. Saved 47 strangers in a war zone, but couldn't save my own wife. How do you come back from that? Elena was quiet for a moment. My father used to say that failure isn't final unless you let it be, that the only real failure is not trying again. Your father sounds like he was a wise man. He was, which is why I can't let his death go unavenged. The food arrived. For a while, they just ate. Kiara chattered about school, about her friends, about wanting to be a doctor like her dad used to be. Elena listened like every word mattered, asked questions, laughed at Kiara's stories. Marcus watched them, saw something shift in Elena's expression, the hard edges of the CEO softening, becoming just a woman having dinner with a child, enjoying it. After dessert, Kiara excused herself to the bathroom. Elena and Marcus sat in comfortable silence for a moment. She's wonderful, Elena said. She's everything. You're a good father. I'm trying. No, you are. I can see it, the way she looks at you, the way she trusts you completely. That doesn't happen by accident. That's earned. Marcus felt his throat tighten. Thank you. Can I ask you something personal? Okay. Do you ever think about dating again? Moving on? The question caught him off guard. No, not really. Doesn't feel right. Like I'd be betraying Sarah. You know she wouldn't want you to be alone forever, right? She'd want you to be happy, to give Kiara a complete family. Maybe, but I can't imagine loving someone the way I loved her. Can't imagine trusting someone that much again. Elena nodded, looked down at her wine glass. I understand. I've never had what you had with Sarah. Never let anyone close enough. Built my entire life around the company. Now my father's gone and I realize I'm completely alone. No partner, no children, just work. You're not alone now. You have me, have us. The words hung between them, meaning more than Marcus intended. Elena met his eyes. Something passed between them, recognition, understanding. The beginning of something neither was ready to name. Kiara returned, the moment broke, but it didn't disappear, just settled between them, waiting. Marcus drove them home in the used Honda he'd bought with the signing bonus Elena had insisted on including. Kiara fell asleep in the back seat. He carried her up 5 flights of stairs to their apartment, tucked her into bed. Then he sat on the couch in the dark and thought about Elena Hartford, about the way she looked at Kiara, the way she listened when he talked, the way she made him feel like maybe, possibly, he could be more than just a failed doctor raising his daughter alone. His phone buzzed. Text from Elena. Thank you for tonight. I needed that more than you know. He texted back. Me too. Three dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. Then, same time next week? Marcus smiled. Yeah, same time next week. He set down the phone, looked at Sarah's photo on the side table. Is this okay? He whispered. Am I allowed to feel this? The photo didn't answer, but somewhere in his chest, something that had been frozen for 3 years started to thaw. Just a little. Just enough. Monday morning, Marcus arrived at Hartford Pharmaceuticals at 7 a.m. Elena was already in her office, papers spread across the conference table. She looked like she hadn't slept. You've been here all night. Couldn't sleep. Kept thinking about Vincent, about what he's planning. We need to move faster. Marcus poured himself coffee from the pot she had going. Tell me everything. From the beginning. For the next hour, Elena laid it out. The USB drive her father left. The $67 million moved through shell companies. The falsified clinical trial data. The audio recording of Vincent threatening her father. The pattern of accidents that weren't accidents. Marcus listened without interrupting. When she finished, he stood and walked to the windows. Looked out at Manhattan waking up below. You need three things to take him down, he said. Proof he embezzled the money. Proof he faked the clinical trials. Proof he killed your father. The first two you have. The third is harder. The police ruled my father's accident accidental. Because someone paid them to. We need the actual evidence. The car, brake lines, anything that shows it was sabotage. The car was totaled, sent to a junkyard. Then we find that junkyard. We examine what's left. If Vincent cut brake lines or tampered with the steering, there will be traces. I've seen it before in combat zones. Vehicle sabotage leaves signatures. Elena sat down heavily. Okay, what else? We need Vincent to confess, on tape, with witnesses, something undeniable. How do we do that? Marcus thought about it. In Afghanistan, they called it baiting. You make the enemy think they're winning, make them overconfident. Then you spring the trap. We make him think he's beaten you, make him think you're broken. When people think they've won, they get sloppy, they brag, they confess. I don't know if I can pretend to be weak. It goes against everything in me. You don't have to be weak, just vulnerable. There's a difference. Over the next 3 weeks, they worked the plan. Marcus spent his days reviewing security protocols, identifying weaknesses in the building's defenses. Spent his nights with Elena, going through financial records, building the case against Vincent. Michelle from IT became an unexpected ally. She caught Marcus one day examining the company's firewall protocols. You know code? Picked up some basics in the Army. Communications equipment runs on software now. Had to learn how to fix it. This isn't basic. You just identified a back door that's been there for 6 months. Marcus looked at her. Can you fix it without alerting whoever put it there? Michelle's eyes widened. You think someone on the inside is feeding information out? I think Vincent Cross has been planning this for years. He'd want eyes everywhere. I can fix it, and I can trace where the information was going. Do it, but quietly. 3 days later, Michelle came to his office, closed the door. You were right. Someone's been siphoning data, financial records, email chains, all going to an external server. Can you trace it? Already did. Registered to a shell company in the Caymans. Same shell company that received some of the embezzled funds. Marcus smiled. That's connectable. Good work. Marcus, what's really going on here? He studied her, decided to trust his instincts. Vincent Cross murdered Elena's father. We're gathering evidence to prove it. Can I count on you? Michelle didn't hesitate. Yes, absolutely yes. Richard Hartford was a good man. If Vincent killed him, he needs to pay. They had an ally inside the security team now. One person they could trust completely. But Jake Torres was another story. The head of security made his disdain for Marcus clear at every opportunity. Small comments, undermining his authority, questioning his decisions in front of the team. One afternoon, Jake pulled Marcus aside. Word of advice, Williams, watch your step. This company has a hierarchy. You don't just waltz in and start making changes because you're sleeping with the boss. Marcus kept his voice level. I'm not sleeping with anyone. I'm doing my job. Sure, whatever you say. Jake walked away, laughing. But Marcus noticed something. Jake had a new watch, expensive. Rolex, at least $20,000. Way more than a head of security should be able to afford. He mentioned it to Elena that night. They were in her office after hours going through more files. Jake's on Vincent's payroll, she said. Has to be. Probably. Which means Vincent knows we're investigating. Knows we're building a case. So what do? We use it. We feed Jake false information. Make Vincent think we're looking in the wrong direction. Meanwhile, we hit him from where he's not expecting. Elena smiled. I like the way you think. 8 years in combat teaches you a few things about strategy. They worked until midnight. When Elena finally stood to leave, she swayed slightly. Marcus caught her arm. You okay? Just tired, haven't been sleeping well. Keep having nightmares about the accident, about my father. You should go home. Rest. I will. Soon. But she didn't move, just stood there, Marcus's hand still on her arm, close enough that he could smell her perfume, see the exhaustion in her eyes, the fear she kept hidden during the day. Marcus, can I ask you something? Anything. Are you scared? Doing this? Going up against someone like Vincent? Terrified. But you're doing it anyway. Because it's right, and because you need help, and because... He stopped. Couldn't finish. Because what? Because I care what happens to you. More than I probably should. Elena looked up at him. Something shifted in her expression. Softened. She reached up, touched his face. Just for a moment. I care what happens to you, too. The moment stretched. Marcus could kiss her. Should kiss her, maybe. But he thought about Sarah, about the photo on his side table at home, about whether 3 years was long enough to move on. He stepped back. You should go. It's late. Disappointment flickered across Elena's face. Then understanding. Right, yes. Good night, Marcus. Good night. After she left, Marcus sat in the empty office and put his head in his hands. This was getting complicated. The job was supposed to be simple. Help Elena, gather evidence, take down Vincent. But somewhere along the way, it had become personal. And personal was dangerous. Personal got you killed. Thursday morning started with a text that made Marcus's blood run cold. He was pouring coffee in his apartment kitchen when his phone buzzed. Michelle Park's name appeared on the screen. Emergency meeting called. Can't make pickup. Jake covering. Marcus stared at the message. Ice flooded his veins. Jake Torres, Vincent's man. Jake who wore $20,000 watches on a security guard salary. Jake who reported everything back to Vincent Cross. He called Michelle. Straight to voicemail. Called the school. His hands were shaking now. This is Marcus Williams, Kiara's father. There's been a change in pickup today. Only Michelle Park is authorized. No one else. Not Jake Torres. Not anyone. If anyone else shows up, you call me immediately. The secretary sounded confused. Mr. Williams, is everything all right? Just please, promise me. Of course, I'll make a note in the system. Marcus hung up, looked at the time. 7:30 a.m., 5.5 hours until pickup. He couldn't wait that long. Couldn't risk it. He grabbed his keys. Drove to PS 118 doing 15 over the limit. His mind raced through scenarios. Vincent knew they were building a case. Knew Marcus was the threat. The best way to neutralize a threat was to go after what they loved most. Kiara. At the school, Marcus signed her out. Medical appointment, he told them. Emergency. The principal looked concerned but didn't argue. Something in Marcus's expression made it clear this wasn't negotiable. Kiara came out of her classroom looking worried. Daddy, what's wrong? Am I sick? No, baby, change of plans. You're going on an adventure. What kind of adventure? Marcus knelt down, took her hands. Mrs. Chen has family in Jersey City. They have a big house with a yard. You're going to stay there for a few days. Like a vacation. Kiara wasn't fooled. 7 years old, but smart as a whip. This is because of the bad people. The ones who want to hurt Miss Elena. I need you safe, sweetheart. Can you do that for me? Will you be okay? The question nearly broke him. His daughter worrying about him when he should be protecting her from all of this. I'll be fine, but I need to know you're protected. Please, Kiara. She hugged him tight. Okay, Daddy, I'll be brave. You're always brave, baby girl. 2 hours later, Kiara was in Jersey City. Mrs. Chen's nephew had a house with a security system Marcus personally inspected. Elena had sent 2 former Secret Service agents to watch the perimeter. Nobody was getting near his daughter. Marcus drove back to Manhattan. His phone rang. Elena. She's secure. Thank God. Elena's voice was tight with tension. Vincent just called an emergency board meeting. Tomorrow afternoon, 2 p.m. He's making his move. Good. So are we. It ends tomorrow. That night, Marcus stayed late at Hartford Pharmaceuticals. Went over the evidence one more time. Financial records showing $67 million in embezzlement. Clinical trial data proving Vincent falsified safety results. The audio recording of Vincent threatening Richard Hartford. It was solid, enough to destroy Vincent's career, probably enough to put him in prison. But Marcus wanted more. Wanted Vincent's confession. Wanted him to admit, on record, in front of witnesses, that he murdered Richard Hartford. At midnight, Marcus was alone in his office when the lights went out. The building's emergency power kicked in after 3 seconds. Red backup lights cast everything in crimson shadow. Marcus's training took over. He moved to the door, locked it, pulled out his phone, called building security. No answer. Tried Elena's cell. 4 rings, voicemail. He moved to the window, looked down at the street 45 stories below, saw a black van parked across from the building. No plates, tinted windows. His phone buzzed. Unknown number. You're making a mistake, Dr. Williams. Walk away while you still can. Marcus didn't respond. Just unlocked his door and moved into the hallway. The emergency lighting made everything look wrong. Long shadows, empty corridors. The kind of atmosphere where bad things happen. He heard footsteps. Multiple people. Coming from the elevator bank. Marcus moved toward the stairwell, going up instead of down. They'd expect him to run for the exit. He'd go to the roof. Higher ground, better visibility. The footsteps followed. Marcus climbed, 2 stairs at a time. His heart pounded, but his breathing stayed controlled. 8 years of combat conditioning. His body knew what to do even when his mind was racing. He hit the roof access door, swiped his security badge. The lock clicking green. Cold October air hit his face. Manhattan spread out below him in a sea of lights. 45 stories up. No fire escape. No way down except through the door he'd just come through. The door opened behind him. 3 men emerged. Professional. Military bearing. They moved with the precision of soldiers. Ex-special forces, probably. Mercenaries. The lead man was tall, white, early 40s, scarred face. He held a gun loosely at his side, not pointing it yet, just making sure Marcus saw it. Dr. Williams, we need you to come with us. Who sent you, Vincent? Doesn't matter who sent us. What matters is you're interfering in business that doesn't concern you. Smart man would back off. Marcus kept his hands visible, non-threatening. I'm not backing off. Then you're forcing our hand. The man raised the gun slightly. Mr. Cross wanted us to deliver a message. Stay away from Miss Hartford. Stop investigating. Or your daughter has an accident. The words hit Marcus like a physical blow. White-hot rage flooded through him. Every tactical instinct vanished. All he could see was Kiara. All he could feel was the need to destroy the man who threatened his child. You just made a fatal mistake, Marcus said quietly. The man smiled. Big talk for someone who's unarmed and outnumbered. I don't need a gun. The man's smile faded. He gestured to his partners. Teach him some manners. The other 2 moved in. Marcus let them come. Waited until they were close enough. Then he moved. 8 years of Army combatives training. Hundreds of hours drilling techniques in sand and heat and exhaustion. Close quarters fighting in spaces tighter than this roof. Marcus Williams became what the Army had trained him to be. A weapon. The first mercenary threw a punch. Marcus deflected it with his left hand, stepped inside the man's guard, drove his right elbow into the solar plexus. The man's breath exploded out. Marcus grabbed his head with both hands and brought it down onto his rising knee. The crunch of breaking cartilage. The man dropped like a puppet with cut strings. The second man had learned. He pulled a knife. 8-inch blade. Combat style. Stupid. Knives in close quarters were a liability against trained fighters. The man thrust. Marcus sidestepped, caught the wrist with both hands, twisted hard. Bones broke with an audible snap. The knife clattered to the concrete. Marcus swept the man's legs and rode him down, using the momentum to slam his head into the roof. The man went limp, 18 seconds. 2 down. The lead man with the gun just stared. These were professionals, elite operators. Marcus had dismantled them like they were children. "Your turn," Marcus said. The man raised his gun. Marcus was already moving, closed 10 feet in 3 steps. Grabbed the gun hand and redirected it skyward. The weapon fired, once, twice. Bullets disappeared into the night sky. Marcus twisted the wrist viciously, felt bones give way. The gun fell. He caught it midair with his free hand, pointed it at the man's head. "On your knees." The man dropped, hands behind his head, face white with shock and pain. Marcus pulled out his phone. "Called 911. This is Marcus Williams at Hartford Pharmaceuticals Tower, 45th floor roof access. 3 men just attempted assault with deadly weapons. I'm holding one at gunpoint. Send police." 12 minutes later, the NYPD arrived in force. Detective Maria Santos from Homicide took the lead. She was 40, sharp eyes, the kind of cop who missed nothing and forgot less. "You took down 3 armed mercenaries by yourself. They underestimated me." Santos looked at the 3 men being loaded into ambulances under police guard. One has a broken nose and fractured orbital bone. One has a compound wrist fracture and concussion. The third has a broken wrist. You could have killed them. "I didn't want them dead. I wanted them in custody." "Who sent them?" "I can't prove it yet, but I know." "Vincent Cross." Marcus looked at her sharply. "How did you know?" "Because I've been investigating Richard Hartford's death on my own time. The official report says accident. I think it's murder. Now his daughter gets attacked. You get attacked. Someone's tying up loose ends." She paused. "Can I see your hands?" Marcus held them out. Scraped knuckles, minor cuts from the fights. Santos photographed them. "Self-defense, clear cut. These men came after you. You defended yourself with appropriate force." She looked him in the eyes. "The lead guy is already asking for a lawyer, won't talk. But the other 2 might make a deal." "Can you hold them, make sure they don't disappear?" "Already done. Federal custody. FBI's interested in the weapons charges. Nobody's going anywhere." After Santos left, Marcus found Elena waiting in her office. She ran to him when he walked in, threw her arms around him. "I heard what happened. Are you okay?" "I'm fine. 3 of Vincent's men aren't. But Vincent made a mistake." "What mistake?" "He showed his hand. He's scared, desperate. That makes him dangerous, but it also makes him sloppy. Tomorrow at the board meeting, we end this." Elena pulled back, looked at him. Her hand still gripped his arms. "I'm terrified." "Me too." "What if it goes wrong? What if Vincent wins?" "He won't. We have the evidence. We have the truth. Justice wins, Elena. It has to." She kissed him then. Not gentle, desperate. The kiss of someone who knew tomorrow could take everything away. Marcus kissed her back with equal intensity. When they broke apart, Elena was crying. "I'm falling in love with you. I know the timing is terrible, but I need you to know. If something happens tomorrow, I need you to know that you changed my life." Marcus touched her face, wiped away tears with his thumb. "I'm falling in love with you too. Have been for weeks, and nothing's going to happen tomorrow except Vincent Cross going to prison." They spent the night in her office, going over the presentation, rehearsing, preparing for every possible counterattack. At 3 a.m., Elena fell asleep on the couch. Marcus covered her with his jacket and kept working. Tomorrow, Vincent would fall. Marcus would make certain of it. The boardroom on the 45th floor of Hartford Pharmaceuticals Tower was designed to intimidate. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Manhattan, a table that could seat 20 made from a single piece of mahogany, leather chairs that cost more than most people's cars, art on the walls worth millions. At 1:58 p.m. on Friday, Marcus stood outside and checked his equipment one final time. Michelle Park had wired the room last night, hidden microphones in the ceiling panels, cameras in the smoke detectors. Everything would be recorded. Everything would be admissible. Detective Santos waited in an unmarked car on the street below. FBI agents with her, ready to move on Marcus's signal. Elena arrived at 1:59. She wore a navy suit, hair pulled back, every inch the CEO. But Marcus could see the fear in her eyes. The tremor in her hands as she smoothed her jacket. You ready? As I'll ever be. Remember the plan. You present the evidence. Stay calm. Don't let Vincent bait you. I'll handle the rest. What if he runs? He won't run. His ego won't allow it. They walked in together. The 12 board members were already seated, mostly men, mostly over 60, old money and older prejudices. They looked at Marcus with thinly veiled disdain. A black mechanic turned security consultant didn't belong in this room. Their expressions made that clear. Vincent Cross sat at the head of the table, 52 years old, salt and pepper hair, expensive Italian suit. He smiled warmly when Elena entered. Elena, dear, you look exhausted. Are you sure you're well enough for this meeting? I'm fine, Vincent. Thank you for your concern. Of course. You're like a daughter to me. Richard would want me to look after you. He glanced at Marcus. Though I see you found your own protection. How interesting. Elena moved to the presentation screen at the front of the room, pulled up the first slide. Financial records, shell companies, money trails. Over the past 3 years, $67 million has been systematically embezzled from Hartford Pharmaceuticals. The money was moved through a network of shell companies to offshore accounts, then transferred to Beijing Pharma in China in exchange for falsified clinical trial data on our cardiac drug CT-447. The room went utterly silent. Vincent's smile didn't waver. Elena, what are you talking about? These are serious accusations. I have proof. She clicked through slides, bank records, transfer receipts, email chains. These transactions were all authorized by you, Vincent. Your digital signature, your passwords, your accounts. Board member Andrew Walsh leaned forward. Silver hair, expensive watch. He'd been Richard Hartford's friend for 30 years. Miss Hartford, these documents could be fabricated. Do you have authentication? Every document has been verified by independent forensic accountants. I have their full report here. Elena placed a thick binder on the table. You're welcome to review it. Vincent stood slowly, still calm, still in control. This is a tragic misunderstanding. Elena's grief over Richard's death has clearly affected her judgment. She's seeing conspiracies where none exist. Then explain the clinical trial data. Elena pulled up new slides. CT-447 was submitted to the FDA with safety data showing 0 adverse events. But the actual trial results show 2 deaths and 17 serious cardiac incidents. The data was falsified. People died because you rushed an unsafe drug to market. Murmurs around the table, board members exchanging glances. The tide was shifting. Vincent's expression hardened. These accusations are slanderous. I've dedicated 20 years to this company. I was Richard's best friend. How dare you suggest I would endanger patients or steal from the company he built? My father discovered what you were doing, Elena said quietly. He confronted you. 1 week later, he died in a convenient car accident. That's enough. Vincent slammed his hand on the table. I will not sit here and be accused of murder by a mentally unstable woman who's clearly having a breakdown. The board needs to vote immediately to remove Elena as CEO and place her on medical leave. Seconded, Walsh said reluctantly. Marcus stepped forward. Before you vote, you should hear this. He pulled out a small speaker, played the audio file. Richard Hartford's voice filled the room. Vincent, I found the discrepancies. Clinical trial CT-447. You fabricated the results. Vincent's recorded voice responded. Richard, you're being paranoid. I have the real data. People died, Vincent. 2 people died because you rushed an unsafe drug to market. I'm going to the FDA. A pause, then Vincent's voice colder. If you do that, you'll destroy the company. Everything we built. I can't let you do that, old friend. Then you'll have to stop me. Yes, I suppose I will. The recording ended. The boardroom was silent enough to hear breathing. 12 faces staring at Vincent Cross, watching his mask crack, watching the monster underneath emerge. Vincent's hands were shaking now. That recording is inadmissible. It was obtained illegally. No, Marcus said. Richard Hartford left it with his attorney, along with instructions to deliver it to Elena if anything happened to him. The attorney has provided a sworn affidavit. It's completely legal. You're a mechanic, Vincent snarled. What do you know about the law? I know enough. I also know you tried to kill Elena 6 weeks ago by tampering with her car. I know you sent 3 armed men to my roof last night to threaten my daughter. Those men are in FBI custody right now. They're cutting deals to testify against you. Vincent's face went white, then red, veins bulging in his forehead. You have no idea what you're dealing with. No idea the forces at play. This company was dying when I took over the finances. I saved it. I made it profitable. Richard was going to destroy everything because of his outdated sense of ethics. The room erupted, board members shouting, some at Vincent, some at each other. Did you just admit to killing Richard Hartford? Walsh asked, his voice shaking. Vincent seemed to realize what he'd said, tried to backtrack. I didn't mean, I was speaking hypothetically about business decisions. You threatened him on tape, Marcus said. You admitted just now that you saved the company despite his ethics. You as good as confessed to murder in front of 12 witnesses. Vincent's control shattered completely. He reached into his briefcase, pulled out a gun. The room exploded into chaos, board members screaming, diving under the table, running for the door. Vincent pointed the gun at Elena. Nobody leaves this room. You're all witnesses now. You're all complicit. Marcus stepped between Vincent and Elena, hands raised, voice calm. Vincent, put the gun down. This is over. You have already lost. I haven't lost anything. Vincent's eyes were wild now, desperate. I built this empire, me, not Richard with his precious ethics, not this little girl playing CEO. Me. I made Hartford Pharmaceuticals what it is. I won't let you destroy it. You destroyed it yourself the moment you chose money over lives. What do you know about sacrifice? About doing what's necessary? You're nobody. A failed doctor turned mechanic. Elena's charity case. Marcus took a step forward. I'm the man who's going to stop you. Vincent's finger tightened on the trigger. Don't move or I'll shoot her. No, you won't, because you need her alive. Dead, she becomes a martyr. The board rallies around her memory. But if she has a breakdown, if she's unstable, then you can take over legitimately. That's your play. Always has been. Vincent's gun hand wavered. Marcus was right, and he knew it. But you made a mistake, Marcus continued. You threatened my daughter. That made this personal. And when things get personal with a man like me, you don't walk away. Marcus moved. Combat training and 8 years of muscle memory. Closed the distance in 2 steps. Grabbed Vincent's gun hand and redirected it upward. The weapon fired. The bullet punched through ceiling tiles. Acoustic foam rained down. Marcus twisted Vincent's wrist. Hard. Bones snapped with an audible crack. The gun clattered to the floor. Marcus kicked it away and put Vincent face first onto the mahogany table. Arm twisted behind his back in a submission hold. Someone call the police, Marcus said calmly. The boardroom doors burst open. Detective Santos rushed in with 4 FBI agents behind her, weapons drawn. NYPD, everyone stay where you are. Marcus stepped back, hands raised. Vincent sobbed on the table, cradling his broken wrist. Santos cuffed Vincent herself. Read him his rights in a clear, steady voice. Vincent Cross, you're under arrest for murder, conspiracy to commit murder, embezzlement, and attempted murder. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. Vincent was still crying, still protesting. You can't do this. I have lawyers. I have connections. I'll be out in 24 hours. No, Santos said, you won't. The 3 men you sent to kill Dr. Williams last night, they all took plea deals this morning. They testified that you hired them to kill Elena Hartford and threaten Marcus Williams's daughter. You're done, Mr. Cross. They led him away, still crying, still threatening, but his voice faded as the FBI agents walked him to the elevator. Out of the building, into a waiting car. Marcus watched through the window until the car disappeared into Manhattan traffic. felt something in his chest unknot, a tension he'd been carrying for weeks, maybe years. Elena stood beside him, tears streaming down her face. It's over. Yeah, it's over. The board members filed out slowly, looking shell-shocked. Walsh stopped beside Elena. Your father would be proud. I'm sorry I doubted you. After everyone left, Marcus and Elena were alone in the glass boardroom. The city spread out below them, afternoon sunlight streaming through windows, evidence of the fight everywhere. Broken ceiling tiles, the gun on the floor. Vincent's briefcase tipped over. What happens now? Marcus asked. Elena turned to face him, took his hands. Now we figure out what comes next, together. Marcus pulled her close. They stood there in the wreckage of Vincent's empire, two people who had been broken by loss and found each other in the aftermath. I love you, Elena said. I know it's fast. I know it's complicated, but I love you. I love you too. They kissed, not desperate this time, just certain. The kiss of two people who had fought together and won. Outside, the city kept moving. Life kept happening. Justice had been served. And for the first time in 3 years, Marcus Williams felt like he could breathe. 6 months felt like both forever and an instant. Vincent Cross's trial lasted 3 weeks. The evidence was overwhelming. Financial records, audio recordings, testimony from the 3 mercenaries he'd hired, testimony from Michelle Park about the embezzlement, testimony from the Beijing pharma executives who'd cut their own deals with prosecutors. The jury deliberated for 4 hours, found him guilty on all counts: murder, conspiracy, embezzlement, attempted murder. The judge sentenced him to 25 years to life in a federal prison, no parole eligibility for 15 years. Vincent was 68. He would die in prison. Marcus watched the sentencing from the gallery, felt nothing but satisfaction. Justice had been slow, but it had come. Richard Hartford could rest now. Elena could move forward. They could all move forward. Hartford Pharmaceuticals stabilized under Elena's leadership. She cleaned out the board, fired everyone who'd enabled Vincent or looked the other way, promoted Michelle Park to chief security officer, refocused the company on ethical drug development. The Richard Hartford Foundation launched with a $100 million endowment, scholarships for medical students from low-income backgrounds. 20 recipients in the first year alone. 20 futures changed. Marcus's medical license was reinstated 4 months after Vincent's arrest. He took the competency exam and passed easily. The knowledge was still there, the skills intact, but the courage to use them took longer to find. For 3 months, Marcus worked at Hartford Pharmaceuticals full-time, security consultant. The job was good, the money better, but something was missing. He wasn't built for offices and board meetings. He was built to save lives. Dr. Patricia Patel, the neurosurgeon who treated Elena after her accident, called him in March. Dr. Williams, I have a proposition. Mount Sinai needs emergency medicine physicians. I recommended you to the department chair. She wants to interview you. Marcus's hands had gone cold. I don't know if I'm ready. You are. I've seen your records, your training. You're exactly what we need. And Marcus, your wife died because of an impossible situation, not because you failed. It's time to forgive yourself. The interview happened a week later. The department chair was a woman named Dr. Sarah Chen, 50s, sharp eyes, no nonsense. Your record is impressive, she said, but you haven't practiced in 3 years. Why should I trust you in my ER? Marcus met her eyes. Because I know what it's like to lose someone. I know what families feel like when they're waiting for news. I know how much every second matters. That fear, that knowledge, it makes me better. More careful. More determined to save every life I can. Dr. Chen studied him. You start Monday, 3 shifts a week, 8-hour shifts. You'll be supervised for the first month. Any hesitation, any mistakes, you're done. Clear? Crystal clear. Good. Welcome to Mount Sinai, Dr. Williams. Now, on a Saturday in late April, Marcus stood in Central Park and tried not to be nervous. Spring had arrived in full force. Cherry blossoms everywhere. The air warm but not hot. Perfect weather for a wedding. 40 guests sat in white chairs facing an arch decorated with flowers. Lena's friends from the business world. Marcus's friends from the army. Michelle Park, Detective Santos, Dr. Patel, Mrs. Chen and her family, Kiara's teachers from PS 118. Small, intimate, real. Marcus wore a new suit, actually fit him this time. Elena had insisted on buying it, insisted on a lot of things. The flowers, the photographer, the reception at her penthouse afterward. But she'd agreed to his one request. Keep it simple. Keep it honest. Keep it about the three of them. Kiara stood beside him in a blue dress that matched the cherry blossoms. She held a bouquet of white roses and bounced on her toes. "Daddy, I can see her. She's coming." Marcus looked up, his breath caught. Elena walked down the grass aisle between the chairs. No one gave her away. She walked alone, independent, strong, just like she'd rebuilt her life, just like she'd rebuilt her father's company. She wore a champagne-colored dress, simple, elegant, no veil, no train, just her, the woman who had crashed into his life 6 months ago and refused to let him stay broken. When she reached the arch, she was smiling. "Hi." "Hi." The officiant was a friend of Richard Hartford's, a woman in her 60s who had known the family for decades. She spoke about second chances, about choosing family, about love that multiplies instead of replacing. "Marcus and Elena have written their own vows," she said. "Marcus?" He took Elena's hands, looked into her eyes, saw his future there. "3 years ago, I thought my story was over. I thought I'd used up my chance at love, at happiness, at purpose. Then you drove off the West Side Highway." Gentle laughter from the guests. "You reminded me that life doesn't end when we lose someone. It just changes, evolves, makes room for new chapters. You showed me that I could be more than my grief, more than my failures. You gave me hope when I'd forgotten what that felt like. I promised to protect you, cherish you, choose you every single day, to be the man you see when you look at me, to deserve this second chance you've given me." Elena's voice shook when she spoke, tears already falling. "Marcus, you saved my life twice. Once on a highway when my car was burning. Once in a boardroom when my father's killer tried to destroy everything he built. But really, you've saved me every day since, by showing me what matters. Not empires or bank accounts or board meetings, just this, just us, just being present for the people we love. You taught me that family isn't about blood or obligation. It's about showing up, being vulnerable, loving without conditions. I choose you. I choose Kiara. I choose this beautiful, messy, impossible thing we're building together." They exchanged rings. Marcus's hands were steady. No shake, no doubt, just certainty. "I now pronounce you husband and wife. You may kiss." Marcus pulled Elena close and kissed her. Soft, gentle. The kiss of a promise kept. The audience applauded. Kiara cheered louder than anyone. The reception was in Elena's penthouse. Caterers had set up tables on the terrace overlooking Central Park. Spring flowers everywhere. String lights that would glow when evening came. Food, music, laughter. Kiara ran between tables in her flower girl dress, showing everyone who would look. Mrs. Chen cried happy tears and hugged Marcus so tight he could barely breathe. Michelle Park gave a toast that made everyone laugh. I met Marcus when he showed up in a suit that didn't fit, looking completely terrified. I thought he'd last maybe a week in corporate America. But I was wrong, because Marcus isn't afraid of hard work or new challenges. He's only afraid of one thing: failing the people he loves. Elena, you got yourself a man who will move heaven and earth to keep you safe, who will face down armed mercenaries and corporate conspiracies and his own demons if it means protecting his family. You got a good one. Detective Santos toasted next. To justice, and to the two people who reminded me why I became a cop in the first place. To do the right thing, even when it's hard. As evening fell and the string lights came on, Marcus danced with Elena on the terrace. Jazz played softly. The city glittered below them like a sea of stars. "Are you happy?" Elena whispered against his shoulder. "I didn't know I was allowed to be this happy again." "You're allowed. Sarah would want this for you." "I know. I feel her here sometimes, approving, smiling. Glad I found you." Elena pulled back to look at him. I have something to tell you. Marcus's heart jumped. What? I'm stepping down as CEO, not immediately, 6 months transition, but I'm promoting the COO to take over operations. I want to run the foundation full-time, actually make a difference instead of just moving money around. Elena, you don't have to do that for me. I'm not doing it for you. I'm doing it for me, man. For us. I want to wake up next to you without rushing to board meetings. I want to have breakfast with Kiara. Go to her school plays. Be present. My father built that company, but he wanted me to have a life, not just a career. This is me choosing life. Marcus kissed her forehead. Then I support you completely. There's something else. Tell me. Your first shift at Mount Sinai is Monday, 3 days from now. Are you ready? Marcus thought about it, thought about walking into an ER again, treating patients, holding lives in his hands. The responsibility, the fear, the possibility of failing again. No, he said honestly, I'm terrified, but I'm doing it anyway. That's my husband, brave even when he's scared. Later, when most of the guests had left and Kiara had fallen asleep on the couch in her flower girl dress, Marcus and Elena stood on the terrace. The city hummed its endless song below them. Come with me, Elena said. She led him inside to the living room mantel. 2 wedding photos sat there now, side by side in matching frames. The first showed Marcus and Sarah 12 years ago, City Hall wedding, Sarah in a $60 dress from a department store. Both of them young, glowing, impossibly happy. The second showed Marcus and Elena today. Central Park, cherry blossoms, older, wiser, still glowing but differently. The happiness of people who'd lost everything and found their way back to joy. I wanted to honor her, Elena said. Sarah gave you Kiara, taught you how to love, shaped you into the man I fell in love with. She's part of our family. Always will be. Marcus's throat tightened. Thank you. Don't thank me, it's just the truth. They stood there looking at the photos, past and present, loss and love, all of it mattering, all of it real. Kiara stirred on the couch, opened her eyes, still in her blue dress, hair mussed, bouquet somehow still clutched in one hand. Daddy, Mom Elena, Mom Elena. She'd started saying it naturally about 2 months ago, like it had always been that way, like Elena had always been her mother. Elena knelt down. What is it, sweetheart? I'm too excited to sleep. Can we stay up and talk? Marcus laughed. What do you want to talk about? About us, about being a family, about everything. They sat on the couch together, 3 people who had been broken in different ways, who had found each other in the wreckage, who had chosen to build something new instead of staying trapped in grief. Kiara nestled between them. I have 2 mommies now, one in heaven and one here. Is that okay? More than okay, Elena said, her voice thick with emotion. That's perfect. And I have the best daddy in the whole world. Marcus pulled them both close. His family, not the one he'd planned, not the one he'd lost, but the one he'd found, the one he'd fought for, the one that chose him back. I love you both so much, he said. We love you too, they said in unison. Tell me about Monday, Elena said later, after Kiara had finally fallen asleep in the guest room. They were in bed, Marcus staring at the ceiling, thinking about walking into an ER in 3 days. I'm afraid I'll freeze. That I'll see a patient and all I'll see is Sarah. That I'll make a mistake and someone will die because of it. Elena turned to face him. Then you'll remember that Sarah would want you to save that person anyway. That's who she was, a nurse, a healer. She dedicated her life to helping people. She'd want you to do the same. What if I can't? Then you'll try again the next day, and the day after, until the fear gets smaller and the skills get stronger. You don't have to be perfect, Marcus. You just have to show up. He pulled her close. How did you get so wise? I learned from you, from watching you face your fears every single day, from seeing you choose courage even when you're terrified. Monday came faster than Marcus wanted. He stood outside Mount Sinai Hospital at 6:45 a.m. in dark blue scrubs, his ID badge clipped to his chest. Dr. Marcus Williams, emergency medicine. 3 years. 3 years since he'd worn scrubs. since he'd treated a patient, since he'd allowed himself to be what he was trained to be. His phone buzzed. Text from Elena. "You've got this. I love you." Another text from Kiara. Elena had helped her send it. "Save people today, Daddy. You're the best doctor ever." Marcus smiled, took a breath, walked through the doors. The ER was controlled chaos. Nurses moving between bays, doctors barking orders, monitors beeping, the smell of antiseptic and fear and humanity. Dr. Chen found him immediately. "Williams, you're with me today. We have a multi-car pileup coming in. ETA 4 minutes. You ready?" "Ready as I'll ever be." The ambulances arrived, sirens wailing, 3 patients, a woman with chest trauma, a man with a head injury, a teenager with a crushed leg. Dr. Chen pointed to the woman. "She's yours. I'll take the head injury. Nelson, you've got the leg. Move." Marcus's hands started shaking. He looked at the woman on the gurney, late 30s, unconscious, blood everywhere. And for a moment, all he saw was Sarah. Sarah dying, Sarah cold, Sarah gone forever because he couldn't save her. Then he heard Elena's voice in his head. "Sarah would want you to save this person." He heard Kiara. "You're the best doctor ever." Marcus's hands stopped shaking. Training took over. 8 years of medical school and residency, muscle memory, knowledge that lived in his bones. He went to work. Patient is female, late 30s, blunt chest trauma from steering wheel impact. Decreased breath, sounds on the left, likely pneumothorax. "Get me a chest tube kit, now." The nurse moved instantly. Marcus examined the patient with hands that had done this 1,000 times, palpated her chest, found the insertion point, prepped the area. Scalpel. He made the incision. Inserted the tube. Air hissed out. The patient's oxygen saturation started climbing. Her color improved. Chest X-ray. Type and cross 4 units. Call up to the OR. She's going to need surgery for internal bleeding. Dr. Chen appeared beside him. "Nice work, Williams. Textbook tube thoracostomy." "Just doing my job." "Yeah, keep doing it." The shift lasted 8 hours. Marcus treated 14 patients, a heart attack, a diabetic emergency, a child with a broken arm, an overdose, a stroke. Each one he saw a person, not Sarah, not his failure, just a human being who needed help. When his shift ended at 3 p.m., Marcus was exhausted, but it was good exhaustion, the kind that came from using his skills, from making a difference. He changed out of his scrubs, checked his phone, 7 texts from Elena, 3 from Kiara, 1 from Michelle asking how it went. He texted back, "I'm okay. It was hard, but I'm okay." At home, Kiara ran to hug him. "Did you save people?" "A few. I knew you would." That night, after dinner and homework and bedtime stories, Marcus sat with Elena on the couch. She curled against him, his arm around her shoulders. "How do you feel?" Marcus thought about it, thought about the woman with the collapsed lung, the man having a heart attack, the child with the broken arm. Lives he'd helped save, lives that continued because he showed up. "I feel like myself again, like I remembered who I was supposed to be. A doctor, a healer, someone who helps. That's all I ever wanted to be." Elena kissed him. "I'm proud of you. Thank you for believing in me when I didn't believe in myself. Always." They sat in comfortable silence, the apartment quiet except for the distant sounds of the city, traffic, sirens, life continuing its endless rhythm. On the mantle, 3 photos now. Sarah's wedding, their wedding, and a new one from this morning. Marcus in his scrubs on his first day back, smiling, ready, past, present, and future. All honored, all real, all part of the journey. Marcus Williams had pulled a stranger from a burning car 6 months ago. That stranger became his wife. That choice, that moment, that refusal to drive past someone in need had given him everything. His family, his purpose, his life back. He would spend the rest of his days doing the same thing, stopping when others drove past, helping when it was hard, saving lives because that's what he was built to do. Not because he was a hero, because he was a man who did the right thing, and the right thing had saved him too. Marcus closed his eyes, held his wife, listened to his daughter breathing in the next room. Tomorrow he'd go back to the ER, save more lives, come home to his family, repeat. It was a good life, a full life, a life worth living. I love you, he whispered to Elena. I love you too. Outside, the city glowed. 8 million people, 8 million stories. This was just one, but it was theirs. And it was enough, more than enough. It was everything, the end.